Hi Year 13, I've just made you a very quick low-tech video just how explaining how to tackle your 3 papers in your mock because they've all got slightly different skills attached to them. So I've got paper 1, paper 2, paper 3 from 2017 just on my screen, and I'll just talk you through each of them with some advice. So this is a syllabus. For A-level paper 1, that can be anything from topics 1 to 4, including the required pracs that go with topics 1 to 4. So that's basically all of your year 12 stuff from your year 1 textbook. It's a mixture of questions, and this is really important. There are 15 marks of basically long answer questions, like the 5 markers and the 6 markers. So I'll show you a paper 1. Now what we've found in the past, and the pattern always seems to hold, is that there's a mixture of AO 1, 2 and 3, but they tend to be like 1 markers, 2 markers, 3 markers. But if you go right to the end of paper 1, what have we got? This is where they put their, what they call their extended answer questions. Still need to do some more scrolling, sorry. Here we go. So I'm not going to guarantee it's question 10, but whatever the last question on the paper is. And these are really nice AO1 questions. So we've got an AO1 question out of 6, like a mini essay, isn't it? A 4 marker, a 5 marker. So they tend to be just basic AO1, AO2 questions that you can just bash out. Now the problem we've had in the past is that if you are someone who is really, really tight on time, who struggles to finish, if you spend too much time earlier in the paper on calculations and things like that, I've had some students in the past that have literally not put pen to paper on those last questions. They've run out of time. So my advice would be that these ones at the end are the easiest questions on the paper. Personally, when I get into paper 1, I would go straight to the back question and I would just bash out my bullet points for my 5 markers and my 6 markers and just get them done. And then that's in the bag, and then I can go back to the start and do the trickier questions. And also, in the back of your mind, you'll still have these questions. So if you think of anything you've missed out, any keywords, you can go back. So for a 5 marker or a 6 marker, just double check that you have definitely included at least 5 key biological terms. I would aim for more if I can. So that's paper 1. So tactic for paper 1, go straight to the end, do the long answer questions, and then go back to the start. Paper 2, I don't really have a tactic for. Paper 2 is anything from the year 2 book, so topics 5 to 8, plus the required pracs that go with that. This time, instead of having like the 5 or 6 mark AO1 questions, AO2 questions, they tend to be more of a comprehension. So what I mean by that, let's find our paper 2. Towards the end of the paper, it tends to be a big long question, like a kind of case study. Here we go. So this is what they mean by a comprehension question. So you get about half a page of information to read. These are the line numbers which they refer back to, and then the rest of that question will be based on that case study. My tactic with this really is just to read it carefully. I know the temptation is just to jump straight to the actual questions, but if you read through that case study and highlight any important numbers, and what I tend to do as well is put myself a little smiley face or a sad face next to particular things, like for example, I'm just trying to see if there's anything in here. If I see something about this experiment was done on 10 people, I'll put a little sad face because I'll think that's a tiny sample size. Or if it's about a study that's been done in many, many countries, I'll put a little smiley face like, oh, that's really good because that data might be representative of lots of people. So do just take the time to read through it. Any key bits of information, just get them highlighted. So I wouldn't say do that first. I would personally probably do paper 2 just in order. I would, if there's a question that you know you're particularly bad at, like some people are really not confident on their maths, their calculation questions, just skim over them, leave them, carry on with the rest of the paper, and then go back to those later on. Because if you're anything like me, like here's a maths question here, just a 2 marker, sometimes it takes people more than 2 minutes to be able to do that question. Or here's another 2 marker. Might take you 5 minutes to do that and you might run out of time. So leave your weaker bits till the end and then go back to them. And then paper 3. So this is the trickier paper. This can have anything from topics 1 to 8. So anything from the year 1 or the year 2 textbook, plus all of the practicals in there. There are more practical questions in this paper. You can have required questions in paper 1 and 2, but there tend to be more here. There are many more, rain's just started, I don't know if you can hear it, many more data analysis questions with some more math skills, experimental data on them, and then the essay at the end. Now, I'm not the essay expert at all. That's Mr. Milner, Mr. Taylor are really good at helping people with essays. I've not done them for years, and I've not actually done any in the new spec, and I know the marking criteria have changed a little bit. But make sure before you go for your mock that you've definitely had a session with Mr. Milner, Mr. Taylor about how to do those essays. I'm going to tell you what I think they tell you in this video, but please just double check with them that that's still the current advice. So paper 3, let's just have a little look through it. So there are some nice AO1 questions, like this is really cute. Just describe how a synapse works. That's a lovely gentle one to get you going. So it's not like the whole of paper 3 is absolutely evil, but there are some like more mathsy ones there. There are these kind of questions with experimental evidence and data to analyse, a bit more statsy stuff on there. Here's again more data analysis questions. The only way you can get better at these is by practice. So if you think paper 3 is going to be a weaker area, just do as many paper 3s as you can get your mitts on. And then you get to the end and you get the essay question. You'll see that most of these questions are about experiments. Here we go. So right at the end you get your essay page that looks like this. And it will give you a choice of 2 essays. They're worth 25 marks, 16 marks for scientific content, 3 for the breadth of your content, so like getting stuff in from as many different topics as you can, 3 marks for relevance, so don't go off topic, and 3 marks for your quality of written communication. I'm 99% sure that's still the case. You'll get a bunch of line paper to write on. Now this paper is a long one. It is 2 hours. I believe the advice that Mr. Milner and Mr. Taylor give is when you get into paper 3, immediately go to the essay. And I think they say either 5 or 10 or 15, but please check with them, maybe 10. Spend 10 minutes just planning it. And what that means is carefully reading both titles, considering them. Don't just jump on the first one that sticks out, because sometimes you get into it and you're like, oh, I wish I'd have chosen the other one. So read both, decide which one you're going to do, and then use this space here, just the half page underneath the title, to come up with a quick plan. So it might be a little spider diagram, something like that. Once you've done your plan, again, please check with Milner and Taylor how long they want you to spend doing that. When you've done your plan, go back to the start. And then start your paper. You might want it on the front of your paper, just keep a little note of your timings. Now I'm pretty sure they say leave 30 minutes at the end to write the essay. So you need to keep an eye on the clock, write down on the front when your essay start time is. The essay is nice. I know you're going to find it horrible the first couple of times you do it, but it's AO1 and AO2, and it's a lovely way just to show off to the examiner what you know. You can just bash out a bunch of information and really show off here, as long as it's relevant and it's hitting the points. Whereas the rest of paper 3 is tricky. So if you're struggling for time right at the end, you're much better off using that time on the essay than doing the essay in 15 minutes and trying to squish some more of this in. So yeah, you go back, so you paper 3, you open paper 3, you go straight to the essay, you do whatever he tells you to do, 10-minute plan, go back to the start of the paper, start answering the questions, leave yourself 30 minutes at the end, and then write the essay. The other tip that you sometimes get with the essay is things in these questions will trigger your brain and go, oh, I could put that in my essay. Especially because some of the questions actually contain like facts that might be quite useful to you. And like they might talk to you about the essay as well to get the top marking band about introducing content that's not actually in the syllabus. Well, here's a bunch of information that goes beyond the syllabus. You could sometimes quote some of this information that you found earlier in the paper, because the essay and the rest of the paper are marked by different examiners, so it doesn't really matter. Okay.